To give us more details on the Trump assassination attempt, here's VOA correspondent Chris Casquejo live from Washington, D.C. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning to you.
Chris, yesterday's try on the former president's life underscores the state of security by the Secret Service and the community police to keep the perimeter safe. Correct me if I'm wrong. A cop or law enforcer spotted the 20-year-old gunman on the roof, but then had to walk back after the rifle was turned on him. Then this eureka discovery led to the gunman rushing his aim and fire that missed the former president, who a Washington reporter who interviewed him after the shooting and claims he never turns full sideways in a live speech by a less than an inch, perhaps, but then catches an innocent fireman fatally. Now, is that a close version of the actual events, or do you have something more accurate?
That's pretty close. Trump, the presumptive Republican presidential nominee, said the upper part of his right ear was pierced by a bullet. He said this on his Truth Social platform yesterday. Now, as far as the gunman and whether he was confronted by law enforcement, there are some reports out there that law enforcement did confront him on the roof, but the law enforcement officer fell down, and that was when the gunman started opening fire. Now, the shooting immediately raised questions about the level of Secret Service protection provided to Trump, although the security agency rejected as absolutely false an assertion by Trump supporters that the Secret Service turned down a request for more security for Trump. So the investigation continues. But of course, there are going to be many questions, and there's already calls for the director of the Secret Service to appear before Congress to answer why that gunman was allowed to climb on a roof and take a clear shot at the president.
Okay, right now, what do we know about the shooter's details and the other victims, and what is the latest on Mr. Trump's condition?
20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks has been identified by authorities as the shooter, and they're describing him as a lone actor, so they don't think this is part of a wider plot yet or that anybody else was involved. Officials said late Sunday that they are treating the shooting as both an attempted assassination and a domestic terrorism incident, adding that while investigators have been able to gain limited insights into Crooks' recent communications, the calls and texts have yet to shed any light on a possible motive. Along with an AR-style rifle recovered alongside Crooks' body, they recovered a mobile phone during a search of his vehicle. The phone has been sent to the FBI lab close to here in Quantico, Virginia, for analysis, and officials are optimistic that they will be able to access the contents, perhaps revealing more about his mindset. And they might help to shed light on what officials described as a rudimentary bomb found in Crooks' car and additional explosive material found at his home. The FBI said Crooks' family has been cooperating, including his father, who legally purchased the gun used in this attempted assassination. Now, as far as the other victims, 50-year-old Corey Comparator died shielding his family from the gunfire, and at least 2 others were injured but expected to live. Trump's aides, meanwhile, said he was in great spirits and doing well. He arrived in Milwaukee on Sunday evening for the convention, the Republican National, which begins today in Milwaukee.
Okay, oddly enough, a popular conspiracy and cockamamie theory is swirling over here that has its roots from film bases over there off the stab on former President Donald Trump's life in his Bethel, Pennsylvania rally being staged or by design. Now, do you have any more conspiracy theories to share with us tonight?
What we know, I mean, this is the first assassination attempt on a U.S. president in 43 years, since President Reagan in 1981 was shot by a bullet from John Hinckley Jr. And Republican leaders in the House said they will launch an investigation into the incident and asked Secret Service Director Casquejo to attend a hearing, and they've scheduled the hearing for July 22nd, so after the RNC this week. And in his speech yesterday or last night in the Oval Office, President Biden vowed to open an independent investigation to get to the bottom of this.
Okay, the unsuccessful attempt on former President Donald J. Trump's life is the major news story in America right now and all over the planet. And we see it lingering at least a week until the Republican National Convention comes to a close over the weekend. Now, at the same time, this story presses the pause button on calls from within the Democratic Party for Joe Biden to step down. Now, do you think the calls will resume and with greater intensity after the GOP convention, or do you think President Joe Biden is going to solidify his hold on the Democratic nomination by going out more on the stump to make a case to Democrats and their supporters?
Yes, Biden plans to resume campaigning Tuesday in Nevada, and it really has seemed to quell the calls for him to step down for now. And Biden has used the moment to use his leadership of the office. You know, he's spoken 3 times yesterday since the shooting on Saturday night publicly, and then he used the Oval Office last night to give his address. And it's only the 3rd time that he's used the Oval Office to give a speech to the American public. So he's really doing a delicate balance here of balancing his role as the commander-in-chief and the president and trying to lead the country into a moment or into a mood of national unity moving forward, while trying to run a campaign to unseat a man who's lost his life on Saturday night. So it's a very delicate balance for the president. But yes, as the weeks go on, the likelihood of Biden not being the Democratic nominee in August diminishes.
Okay, turning back to the side of the Republicans. Now, Republican pollsters, lawmakers, and MAGA diehard supporters have in fact called the unsuccessful attempt on Donald Trump's life as a linchpin to his landslide victory, especially when they say Trump appears on stage for a speech in which he will be viewed like a hero who has withered the strongest Democratic attack on him ever. And word has it, the former president is now rewriting his speech, which many say will be focused more on national unity than attacks on the Democrats. But Chris, you know as well as I do, the convention is where a lot of red meat will be put out for the base to devour, so to speak. So what do you think the whole tone of the GOP speakers taking the stage would be prior to former President Donald Trump's speech? And do you think Trump's acceptance speech will now be a complete turnaround from his usual take no prisoners and fire and brimstone speech style?
Sure, let's start with, he told the Washington Examiner in his speech that'll give Thursday night to focus more on national unity than the policies of Biden. But, you know, the former president loves unscripted moments and he loves speaking off the cuff. So we'll have to see whether he's fundamentally changed his style. I mean, he did come within inches of losing his own life. And as far as the tone of the other speakers, you know, former presidential candidate Nikki Haley, you know, who has had an acrimonious relationship with Donald Trump, even though she served in his administration, you know, she's scheduled to speak in Milwaukee. After all, according to her spokesperson, she will take the stage on Tuesday. So we'll have to see what tone one of his former rivals takes. Now, as far as the others, J.D. Vance, who is one of the Republican senators, who is he's reported to be one of the 3 contenders for Trump's vice presidential nominee. You know, he blamed the left and the left's rhetoric, you know, for the atmosphere that caused this assassination. So, you know, we'll have to see how the other speakers, you know, talk about this event and this assassination attempt as they take the stage. But there clearly seems to be, at least now, a mood of, you know, let's really get the toxicity out of the political discussion and focus on politics, policy, and not personal attacks. So we'll just have to see in the next few days.
All right, many thanks. Chris Casquejo reporting live from Washington, D.C. Thank you for always keeping us updated. We look forward to the next time.